Comrades, welcome back, welcome back. I had a power outage. There was a power outage. Good night, Comrade Orin. So sorry for the break in transmission a while ago. I had to shut down I shut down YouTube completely because light had gone. The place started get hot and miserable. I was hoping that the network was still up, but the network actually went down. Everything got down. Everything got down a while ago. So the power came back it was gone for probably about 5 minutes. But the issue is the network never come back. So me get frustrated. Come here travel. So me get frustrated and just pull down my laptop. So by the time I start hear the ping, 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 ping them in my ears. By the time I start hear the ping ping in my ears, I don't pull down the laptop them and most of my light them already. Because I have to go put them, when I finish the live, I have to go pack them up, right? To catch flight out in the morning. So my apologies for the delay. That is what caused it. Please, as you come back in, share up back the live. Boy, I don't know. I'm hoping that everything will come back. So share it up back. Share it up back because we have things to talk about. Share up back the link. All right. Thank you. Big up, big up, big up, big up, big up. All right. So I see Christine says she at the Visional Conference. So I tell her to send pictures. Anybody who is at conference, send stuff. Send pictures and videos so we can post them up. All right. So we did that talk. I will not go make not JPS. JPS a labor, right? So, say some of granny used to say. Comrade leader is in Gale tonight as well. All right. Comrade leader is in Gale Divisional Conference tonight. Now, we were talking before I was rudely interrupted by JPS. We were talking about drunk Terry Long. That is what we were talking about. Remember when drunk Terry Long decided to blot out Comrade PJ Patterson and Comrade Portia Simpson Miller face, right? So we decide now, so we going to return the favor to them. You understand? So what we do now, we blot out the face. We blot out back the face. We blot out back the face, right? So we talking now about cricket because this picture was taken at cricket, Sabina Park. So before we were rudely interrupted by the network, we were talking about what Babsy do. I was telling you, comrades, that all of them stay the same way. And even though Alanda Terry Long apologize, it's foolishness. The apology don't mean nothing. Because si Babsy do it here too. Let me read for you what Babsy Grange had to say on our page. Highlights. Prime Minister, Wholeness and Sports Minister Grange join cricket fans at Sabina Park on Saturday, May 25th to cheer on the West Indies as they go in search of series clinching win. The second of 3 T20 matches against South Africa. So you realize Babs Grange refused to acknowledge Comrade PJ Patterson, the longest serving Prime Minister in Jamaica, even though she was in a picture. You see how them petty and disgusting? You see how them are drunk, bro? So when Babsy wake up this morning now and see the backlash all over social media because me get only call about it, I make promise I go in the video. My husband decided I'm going to carry me somewhere from morning. So I don't even get to make no video today. When Babsy got on social media and see the backlash that she getting, Babsy Grange decided to post another picture. Babsy Grange decided that she go and post another picture. Let me find her post. because she trying to make up. She named Olivia Grange. No, so. Even though we call her, all right. See there? All right. So now comrades, she is trying, thank you, promise. She's trying to make up now. So she posts up another picture when you can't see the picture good. She posts up another picture with Comrade PJ. See it there, want to see it now. Thank you, Howard. She posts up another picture with Comrade PJ there. Right? She tried to take the shame out her eye them now when she realized that every Jackman Dora cuss her. Amidst cheering off for the West Indies, this is this morning now. This is this morning now she posts this. When she get the blowback. Amidst the cheering for the West Indies, it was great to chat with former Prime Minister, the Most Honourable PJ Patterson, who we know is an ardent fan of cricket and an authority on the sport. So she never know all of that yesterday. When she posts up all these images and videos, she posts 14 pictures. 14 pictures Babsy posts and don't acknowledge PJ Patterson. She posts a video and don't acknowledge PJ Patterson. Then when she get the blowback now, all of a sudden, she remember say PJ Patterson in the picture them. Now tell me say if she's not a dirty drunk or just like Alanda Terelang. It cannot be that these people do not know protocol. In the midst of what happened the last time, Wagwan Randin, in the midst of what happened the last time, it cannot be that these people do not know protocol. Nothing can go so. Is it that they hire people who don't know protocol? I don't know. Is it that them have people working for them who doing them social media that are so flipping tribal that they refuse to acknowledge comrade past prime ministers? Nothing can go so. And then them getting an arson on social media, all over social media, because the whole world is upset at the fact that that Jamaica is not hosting any of the World Cup matches. Sorry, say you're sick, Randine. I hope you feel better soon. Imagine we beat South Africa, you know. West Indies beat South Africa, you know. Me so upset I don't want to see nothing name cricket now. If I love, oh, thank you, Shamariki, thank you. But the way all people vex, I see Karen Madden, you know. The journalists come out, come beat them, you know. Now, Karen Madden, as far as I'm concerned, normally keep ourselves out of politics, you know. Karen Madden, the West Indies head to the T20 World Cup with a convincing series sweep. So West Indies win all of the three match them of South Africa after winning the third warm-up at Sabina Park. 3 glorious days of cricket, lovely cricket. The fans came out and it was a time, right? But that is what she said today. Listen to this now. Look how the cricket nice. And me now get fi come as Sabina come full joy myself as not even one World Cup match. I me hate Uno. Like how Rasta ate pork. May I carry belly for Uno over this. For life. My great grandkids are going to hear about it. Right? These are Jamaicans quarreling. Karen Madden now. Them have to go down for this. Let me tell you something. Yeah, man, I saw Dr. Michael Abrams did call her out. I go in, wait, no, man, don't jump the gun yet, Arlene. We don't reach this, so. We don't reach this so yet, man. We don't reach there so yet. Now, imagine Karen said, them wicked for this. Wicked. Everybody are quarreling about it, you know. Everybody is quarreling about it. And then worse, she refused to acknowledge Jamaica's longest serving prime minister. No matter how them hate him, them can't take the history from him, you know. They cannot take the history from him. Michael Abrams called her out though. Michael Abrams said at Olivia Grange, you people are disrespectful. First, there was a post by a state minister where the faces of former Prime Ministers Portia Simpson Miller and PJ Patterson were covered by Jamaican flags. Now, here is a picture with former Prime Minister PJ Patterson sitting beside Andrew Holness, and you do not acknowledge Mr. Patterson. So, this is the kind of petty, immature, and divisive politics you practice. Remember, you are in a position of leadership. Children are watching. You seem to have forgotten the first line of the second verse of our national anthem. Teach us true respect from all. The labor right them a drunk crow. Them is a set of drunk crow. Of course, it was deliberate, Lady Andrea. It was very deliberate. It was very deliberate. Them is a set of drunk crow, and them have to go down for this. It's not the first time, it's not the second time. They believe that they are above protocol and them can do what them want to do. They can literally do what they want to do. This don't make no sense. Let me tell you something. You see this cricket thing where Jamaica never bid for any of those matches is a big deal. Sabina Park is a very historic location for the West Indies. And imagine there's a cricket World Cup and there are no matches at Sabina Park. JP have to go down for this. Nothing can go so, comrades. Nothing can go so. Nothing can go so. Nothing can... where are my moderators? Moderator? We have one of them on here. Get rid of him. He's not invited to the cookout. Thank you very much. Them have to go down for this. It's long time I've been telling you, you know. It's long time, comrades, I've been talking to you and telling you, said, them don't business with sports. They are so busy scraping away at all the money, that all the little things that are important, they don't see it as important. The worst part about it is sports is a way that we can prevent children from doing all sorts of things. Remember, the only day in a very long time that nobody was killed in Jamaica is when Brazil was playing the first World Cup match, You remember that? Last World Cup, when Brazil played them first match, there was no murders in Jamaica. Remember that? Who remember that? The first day Brazil played in the last World Cup, no murders occurred in Jamaica. Sports distract people from them problems. Sports distract people, criminals from them crimes. Sports distract criminals from them. It made the news. That is it. Sports distracts criminal from their crimes. People don't understand this. People don't understand how important it is that sports be a part of everything that we do. Richard, I work in athletics. So you don't have to tell me say athletics and the decline, because I know. What you say apples? And me have fully all right. No, don't say a word. We're doing this. Sometimes me and the technology not so bossy, All right. Me I go do it. Settings. Moderators. Add. Randine there and don't. All right. I say Richie and Randine. I put manage on you. Manage guests. May I do it? I'm gonna do it shortly. I'm doing it shortly, apples. May I find you? I have to take time with me head, I don't know But the know, so the head kind of tough when it ready. Apples, me now see you come up, you know. I don't know why. I'm trying to add you, but I'm not seeing you. I haven't seen you. I don't see you. I soon sort it out. Yeah, man, I'm trying. I am trying to add you as a moderator. All right, the three dot them. Add moderator. All right. You that. There you go. All right. You that. All right. So make we talk now. Make we talk now. So imagine sports is normally an avenue for Jamaican children to vent, right? Wagwan Comrade Jaim. I want to big up Comrade Jaim, you know, because Comrade Jaim did an excellent job last night of hosting the Papine and Mona combined conference. It was really a good look. Big up yourself, Comrade Jaim. Nice meeting you, right? But let me tell you now, sports is normally a way to channel youths. You ever hear us saying the devil find work for idle hands? The devil finds work for idle hands, comrades. The devil find work for idle hands. Wanna tap up the screen and share up the live. The devil finds work for idle hands. The phone are overheat or what going right or so? Tell me some phone are overheat, but me fix it. Now, let me tell you something. Michael Manley was so he was so pressed to get Jamaicans into sports because he saw from a long time that sports was going to pull us out of not only poverty, but it was going to channel our energy. Jamaicans are very energetic people, and Michael Manley make up his mind from day one. So he is going to use sports as a way to get Jamaican people out of problems. See her there? You ask him Linton Stewart where she there, see her there, sit down, not acknowledging former Prime Minister PJ Patterson, because all they want to do, Comrade Linton, them want to pose, them like photo ops. Them not like sports, what the hell them doing at Sabina Park? And sake of them, there is no Cricket World Cup match in Jamaica because of them. So what the hell them doing at Sabina Park? Oh, no, answer me that. All they are interested in doing is hobnobbing, taking photos, posing for photo op, and looking like them important. That is it, unfriendly. She was. Comrade Portia Simpson Miller was one of the best, most effective ministers of sports we have had in our history. Now we have this idiot. First and foremost, Andrew Holness decided to give this woman a super ministry. That just goes to show you how much importance in place. And Babs is not too bright upstairs, you know. She not too bright upstairs. So she have this ministry now. Sports, entertainment, gender affairs. She have other things too. I think it's about 4 portfolios she have in one. And she cannot manage sports, entertainment, culture, gender affairs. Right? 4 things she have in one ministry. And making a mess out of everything. Thank you. And it's 49 of them. But a labor right tell me I don't afraid for talk, you know. I don't know, say my mouth no join church. I don't afraid for talk. Is one church my mouth join and is this one politics church? So me not afraid for talk and one labor right tell me say. Them tired for cuss Andrew and tell him say. Babsy have too much on her plate and she cannot manage. The labor right them tell him, but him have Babsy like him second mother. Because Babsy, you know, say Babsy is one of him biggest defenders. So him have Babsy, Babsy have him like a second, him have Babsy like a second man, mother. Say anything Babsy want, Babsy get. So him have to big up Babsy in the thing. So even though Babsy is incompetent and incapable, that is not a super ministry. That is a super ministry. And so everything in it is failing. Sports by itself could have been a ministry by itself. Sports and entertainment should have been its own ministry. Put culture and gender together and leave sports and entertainment. Two separate ministry that. Oh, you have 49 people. And how much senator? It's not my fault. Same have beer idiot where MP, you know. That is it. Unfriendly. That is it. That is it. But what I am trying to say is, she is failing terribly. And all the sports are suffering because of her. They are underfunding the sports. She is doing nothing for entertainment nowhere. She not do nothing for no entertainment. She not doing nothing for sports. The only thing she seems to be concerned with is culture. That's the only thing I can look and say, okay, she look like she might a fear thing that culture. She no business with nothing else. She is killing the goose that lay the golden egg, and athletics is the goose that lay our golden egg. She no business with gender either. She don't business with gender either, rough edge. On the tap up the screen for me and share up the live. Just collecting a salary, Linton. Just collecting a salary. And it is, man, it is, wow. What can I say? What can I say to you? Comrades, tonight is Sunday school. Yeah, man, she Andrew Muma. Andrea. She and Andrea, she's Andrew Muma, so Andrea, him nah do nothing to her. Dirty shots. Okay. We have something to discuss with you tonight, you know. But like I know you don't like the school, you know, when we have this school. But tonight we have school. We have school tonight. I told you know, when we were on Rado's live, because first of all, let me take this opportunity to big up Comrade Rado Radcliffe, who stood in the gap for me last night. Big up yourself, you know, Rado. I know you're on the live. I'm not sure if you're still on, but I saw you on earlier. Big up yourself, Rado. Yeah, man. So tonight is Sunday school. And let me tell you something. Let me tell you something. Tonight, somebody, see another germs come over here. I don't block that germs, yeah. Come in, you know, why I love to come over here when you know, on the last, you know, we don't come from my life, man. We don't suffer fools gladly. We do not suffer fools gladly. So don't come over here. Don't come pitch on my page. Don't come and pitch on my page. When you see right mango preaching on a scroll pass, on a use on a finger and do this. Whoop. Practice it. Whoop. When you see right mango live, you do this and scroll pass. I don't want to drunk up on my page. I don't want a demon on my page. I don't want no, you know what them start to know, comrades? Them start to inbox me the links of when they are doing their lives. They have started to inbox me the link for the Labor Right Live them because them want me to come on their live because them know say me not going on no Labor Right Live. First of all, you see my brain? One thing me have a problem with, a big problem with stupid people. Big up yourself, Wayne Williams. Love you too. I have a big problem with stupid people. And if me click the link and go on and see labor right, I know say the whole of them stupid, so I not going there. So me no listen. Stupid people make me head chip. I cannot hold a conversation with brainless people. So me no want to labor right invite me upon them live because I don't know some of the comrades do it in a sit down. Like when I have the patience of Job trying to explain basic concepts to these people. Note which I have no tolerance, not low tolerance, no tolerance. Because I cannot understand how people like them feel say everybody's stupid like them. How the hell this makes sense? We're not doing it with them. We're not doing it with them. We don't want them over here. But tonight, comrades, we're going to talk about Siaga. Because I promised you that we were going to talk about the 80s. Remember, we spoke about the 70s, you know, and what Manly do, you know. But, comrades, these labor rights, every time, it's like them carrying belly for the fact that Siaga born in America, Boston, Massachusetts, US of A. Like say, we did tell Siaga mama forgot birth him in Boston, Massachusetts, USA. Let me tell you something, comrades, and I want you to listen to me good and proper. And YouTube, don't worry, because when this live is finished, I am going to upload the entire live to YouTube so you can see it. So don't feel no way for not seeing it live, because you're not going to get it. My apologies to the YouTube family. There was a power outage, and with the power went the network, the pop-down network, so everything gone. So now we're up and running again. Unfortunately, me did don't pack up my laptop. So it never looked like it did not come back. So make we talk now. Give me a minute, then make me put up the picture because I want you to see that my source is authentic when I talk, you know. I want you to see when I talk that my source is authentic and I am not making up the information. Give me 1 minute there. I just want you to see. I want you to see. See my source there now, comrades. Another declassified CIA document. Remember now, the CIA have already admitted openly that Edward Siaga is a CIA operative, was a CIA operative, but no, comrades. I want you to hear for yourself. I want you to hear for yourself where this man come from. I want you to hear. I just responding to somebody. All right. Now my problem now is this. I don't want to plug out that one. I don't know where on yourself, comrades. We'll get into it. My battery dying, so I'm making sure that we don't lose the juice on the phone and the live go cut again. So now give me a minute, then let me just plug this in. All right, we're back in business now. So this document is from the director of the Central Intelligence Agency, otherwise known as the CIA. Tap up the screen for me, comrades. Beg you 100,000 likes tonight too. Beg you 100,000 tonight too. Tap up the screen for me. Because we're going into some serious information now. And this was released September 14, 1983. The first page Of course, you know it is heavily redacted. The first page we see page denied. Big and bold cross it, page denied. And you can see it? Yes, see it there. All right. This one is titled The Jamaica Experiment. You hear what name? The Jamaica Experiment. This is CIA telling us that we were an experiment. A lot is riding in the future of Jamaica. This is now in 1983, after Edward Seaga had already won one term. All right? I'm going to listen to what them saying. And this is written by the CIA. A lot is riding on the future of Jamaica. It is playing a critical economic and political role not only in the Caribbean, but in the Latin America and indeed the third world. The Reagan administration has made Jamaica a fulcrum of its national security plans for the Caribbean basin. I hope you are listening, comrades and friends, and the few laborite demons that are on the live. We want you to listen good to what the CIA is saying in the mighty name of Jesus. The Reagan administration has made Jamaica a fulcrum of its national security plans for the Caribbean basin. What does that tell you? It tells you that Edward Seaga was the puppet of the Americans. Even more significant, it has selected Jamaica as the site for a high-stakes experiment intended to demonstrate the superiority of capitalism to socialism, the free market to state control. Want to hear what them say? They chose Jamaica as an experiment. Jamaica is an experiment to show the world that capitalism is superior to socialism and the free market is superior to state control. The result of that experiment will have important implications for the future of U.S. foreign policy. You see the position that Edward Seaga put us in? Approximately 3 years after assuming leadership. As well as for other third world countries that, like Jamaica, are seeking to solve the mystery of development. Jamaica entered center stage in the election of Edward Seaga as Prime Minister on October 30th, 1980, 5 days before Reagan's own victory. Seaga, a conservative white in a country that is 80% black, replaced Michael Manley, a brown or mulatto, who sought to, over the previous 8.5 tumultuous years, build socialism at home and a new world economic order abroad. You see how powerful Michael Manley was? That these demons had to bring him down at whatever cost necessary. However they could bring him down, they brought him down. Manley drew close to Cuba and frequently denounced U.S. imperialism, severely straining relations between Washington and Kingston. Jamaica's move leftward under Manley and uncertainty about its political future contributed to Reagan's growing concern about developments in the Caribbean basin. War in El Salvador, insurgency in Guatemala, Marxism in Nicaragua and Grenada, refugees from Haiti, instability increasing everywhere along America's third frontier. You see how them call we? Them third frontier. As the regime was being called, nearly half of U.S. imports and exports pass through the area, as do 2/3 of our imported oil and more than half of the imported strategic minerals. To Reagan, Edward Seaga seemed like a godsend. You hear what I'm saying? Edward Seaga seemed like a godsend. Here was a third world leader who spoke unabashedly of the private sector as the engine of growth, who in short spoke the language Ronald Reagan liked to hear. In January 1981, Edward Seaga, listen to this now. When you listen, cock on the ears and listen closely. In January of 1981, Seaga, born in Boston, raised in Jamaica, and educated at Harvard, became the head of state, invited to the Reagan White House. The two hit it off at once, and at the end of their meeting, Reagan promised that Seaga could count on American support for his objectives, especially in the efforts to expand his country's private sector. I hope you're listening, you know. Seaga proposed that Reagan formulate a sort of Marshall Plan for the Caribbean in order to help rescue its faltering economy. Them come the people them want to play a game with me. Listen to me now. Listen to this. That idea became the Caribbean Basin Initiative. Introduced, hear this, you know. That idea became the Private Basin Initiative. Tap up the screen, share up the live, comrades. Please. Beg you some taps, beg you some roses. Because we don't want the life to freeze. It freeze enough tonight. We had enough problems tonight. We don't want no more problems. So I want to support the life tonight. Support the life tonight. The idea became the Caribbean Basin Initiative. Introduced in early 1982, the CBI included large-scale aid for El Salvador, but pointedly excluded Cuba, Nicaragua, and Grenada. It also articulated a whole new approach to foreign policy, much favored by Reagan. Traditionally, U.S. assistance to the developing world has consisted of grants to governments, but the CBI provided only $350 million in direct assistance for the entire region. It sought for the first time, however, to use public policies such as tax and trade incentives as a way of enlisting private sectors to achieve U.S. objectives abroad. Oh no, say Edward Seaga sell we out. Him sell we out. Sell we right out. Sold us out. The CBI, said Reagan, would enable Caribbean and Central America $100 million US dollars from Washington. Right? We cut there. I wonder if any of you bright people on the live can tell me what the CBI did. What did the Caribbean Basin Initiative do? In the first year of the Reagan administration, the U.S. Agency for International Development, that's USAID, expanded its office in Kingston with a mandate to increase its link with Jamaican business community. The Commerce Department established a CBI Information Center to promote Jamaica and its neighbors as attractive places for investment, and missions of businessmen were organized to visit the island. Reagan asked his friend David Rockefeller, can you unmute Michael Bailey, please? He's a real comrade. Somebody mute Michael Bailey. Some admin, sometimes you're muting the comrades, you know. So, somebody muted Michael Bailey. Please unmute him. Can you access the... Thank you, unfriendly. Be careful of the comrades that you mute. Sometimes they are responding to the labor rights on the thread. You understand? So Reagan asked his friend David Rockefeller to pitch in, and Rockefeller created the U.S. Business Committee in Jamaica. Right? So I want to see how U.S. now. I want to see how U.S. interweave themselves into Jamaica's business community now. Because of Edward Seaga. We're going to see how this going to work out, we're going to talk. The committee included some of the biggest corporations in the U.S. Right? Among them, Gulf and Western General Foods, Hilton International, Eastern Airlines, Alcoa, and Atlantic Richfield. Finally, the White House saw to it that the IMF and the World Bank, the two giants of international finance, would share the president's interest in Jamaica's well-being. Both institutions became involved in the economy of Jamaica to an extent unprecedented here. Listen carefully, listen carefully to what Seaga was doing in the 80s. This is 1983, comrades. Seaga bringing the entire American battalion into the country's backyard in the 80s. In bringing everybody, he brought in U.S. corporations. Do you know what happens when U.S. corporations invade a country? What happens to the local market? What happened to our local business people? You're not stupid enough. Wait, man, we're getting there to your health. We're getting there. We feel strongly that the future of Jamaica is not only of vital importance in its own right, but also as an example to the entire Caribbean basin. All right? Make we skip right there, so now. So this is another article now in the same release. Remember, this is the CIA declassified document of 1983. See the cover of it there. Because I don't want no labor right come on my live and tell me, say, it's liar telling and it's fake news. That's why I post it up so you can see it. The CIA declassified documents. This is them talking about what was happening while they were here. So this is from a CIA agent now. I decided to go to Jamaica recently for a look at how the model is faring. Prime Minister Seaga's public relations firm in the New York had laden me with glowing accounts. You hear where film public relations coming from? It sounds familiar to you, comrades? Tell me if it sounds familiar to you. You hear where Seaga was getting in public relations from? All the way up New York, and they were telling this man that it was a glowing report, the turnaround in Jamaica economy. Met with members of the Rockefeller Committee and in Washington with officials, right? And they were pleased with Seaga's progress. And listen to this now. When I arrived in Kingston, the capital, I quickly found much that seemed to bear out their optimism. The streets were crowded with shiny new Mercedes-Benz, Toyotas, and Hondas. Building crane. I'm gonna tell me if it sound familiar now. Building crane hovered over new office complexes rising in Kingston's modern business sector. The Daily Gleaner, the powerful newspaper, was filled with stories about investment projects and a healthy tourist season. The more things change, the more they remain the same, comrades. Because this is exactly what is happening now. This is how you know that Andrew Holness is Seaga clone. I have to wonder if when Andrew go meet up with Seaga, if Seaga never transfer his soul into Andrew Holness' body. Them never do some ritual and move Seaga out of Seaga body and put him in an Andrew. Because you could literally pick up the 1980s and put it in this period and it would be the same damn thing, exactly unfriendly. This is literally history repeating itself. History repeating itself. Him give him something in a cancer baby. Him give him something. At the Pegasus Hotel, I saw a tour bus pull up to the front entrance and disgorge a score of Japanese businessmen arriving to expand their holdings in Blue Mountain Coffee, a popular item in Japan. It's from them day the Siaga start sell out Blue Mountain Coffee. The real seat of power in Jamaica these days, in fact, was not Jamaica House, the Prime Minister's office, nor the Parliament, nor the Central Bank. Rather, it is the Pegasus Hotel, a modern deluxe structure that rises 18 stories in the center of Kingston. Here gather economists from the World Bank and the IMF, officials from the US government, investors from Kansas, Israel, Hong Kong, bankers, diplomats, journalists, and consultants with expertise on everything from exchange rate to water pump. So Pegasus in the 80s was where Siaga entertained everybody. At a reception held for a group visiting American businessmen at the residence of William Hewitt, the US ambassador, the mood was upbeat. In attendance were the top staff from the Embassy USA and from the Washington Rockefeller Executive Committee. Right? And of course, they were cussing about how the city was in disarray and it was dirty when Manley was in power. Right? I want you to listen, Listen to what the writer is saying. Now at least government people wear blazers and tie and they're not wearing Caribas anymore. This is what the people them saying. There were, however, signs that all was not well. This is the CIA agent reporting now, This is what him write. There were, however, signs that all was not well. At my hotel, which is not the Pegasus, the power went out almost every day. And the water stopped running every night. Wanna listen to it, Wanna listen, Make sure wanna listen, The power went out every day. And the water went out every night. Kind of like what is happening now. I have to be fighting with JPS to make sure I have my damn power to do my life. Right? The bauxite industry, the country's largest, was in its worst slump ever. And the powerful trade union movement, relatively quiescent after Siaga's election, was issuing one strike threat after another. Now, want to tell me, say, if this is not history repeating its flipping self. Is this not history repeating itself, comrades? This is why we have to review these things, For us to see. For us to document the similarities between the period when JLP was in power then and where JLP is in power now. Because we want it to say it's the same set of drunk them. The same set of demon them we crawl back out of them sepulchre in different form. Most ominous. Listen. Unemployment at 27% was rising, and the sense of expectancy that had welcomed Siaga's victory seemed to be giving way to something darker. Visiting a craft market soon after I arrived, I was accosted by one of the many drug dealers who prowled the area. I turned down his offer, but we began to talk. Listen to the drug dealer now. Siaga is no good for the people, he said angrily. He brought all the capitalists down here with their money. But we don't see any of it. No one has any money. Tell me if this not sound familiar. No history, this will repeat itself. This is history happening again. Siaga brought all the capitalists down here. And what the capitalists them do? Exploit the country. At first, you get the impression that things are better here. A Jamaican journalist told me. But it's just a veneer. Underneath, there's the same level of unemployment, the same disadvantage, the same seething. The ghettos are still there. If you scratch the surface, you find the same feeling of resentment. Kingston is a tense, divided, politicized place. Kingston is a tense, divided, politicized place. Its topography provides a lesson in the country's social stratification. The city slopes gently upwards from its stunning blue harbor, the 7th largest natural harbor in the world. Then at its midsection, the city begins to rise sharply to meet the foothills of the the Blue Mountain, which forms a dramatic backdrop. We don't need to read all of that. I want you to get the idea that everything that happened then is what is happening now. Right? In the flat, low-lying section of the mean, smoldering black shanty towns of West Kingston, which bear names like Trench Town, Lizard Town, and Concrete Jungle, it is a place of burning and looting, weeping and wailing, in the words of Bob Marley, whose reggae anthems capture explosive nature of life in Trench Town where he grew up. Here, families of 6, 8, or 12 live in ramshackle houses with corrugated zinc roof and concrete walls. Children run about shirtless and barefoot. Unemployment in these ghetto run as high as 80%, and survival usually means hustling, peddling, stealing, and playing black market or dealing in ganja. All right. As the city's altitude rises, so does its standard of living. Jamaica's small non-black population, scions of British plantation owners, Syrians, Chinese, and Jews, and upwardly mobile brown live in the hills. Here the neighborhoods have names such as Beverly Hills and the Air of the Country Club. Elegant mansions are set far behind the concrete walls topped with the barbed wires, fencing. At night, guard dogs bark ferociously. All right. So we read that part there now. I wanted to get the idea of what it was like in the 90s, in the 80s under Siaga, right? All right. I'm not going to read all of this unimportant part, but there is some more areas that we need to go into. All right, because them go through a lot of history where we go through already. Right? During the election camp, so them basically recapping what we talked about already during Manly time, right? Them basically carrying you back in history to tell you what it got through with Manly. We got through all of that already, comrades, so we don't have to review this part again, right? We want to talk about Siaga now. So in the 1980 campaign, Manly, watch your time out. Listen, we're not gonna make them, if you don't top up your live, we're not gonna make TikTok end the live, you know. Because see them ask me for verify because of inactivity and so much I want to depend the live. Come on, man. Do a thing. Do a thing. So in the 1980 campaign, Manley accused the JLP of conniving with the CIA to destabilize his government. right? The JLP under Edward Seaga denounced the PNP as a cabal of communists. As the campaign lengthened, goods became increasingly scarce. And by the end of it, people literally fought over what little food was left on supermarket shelves. Throughout the campaign, Kingston rival gangs did nightly battles with M16 rifles. Right? So I want to hear everything. We got through all of this already. What they're doing is reviewing everything that Seaga did in the 70s when him bring them nearly assassinate Michael Manley, when them bring down everything. All right? But we want Uno to understand what happened. All right, see we here now. We catch up back now. So Seaga's government now set about turning Jamaica into a Caribbean Singapore. This is where we want to talk about now. A country that frequently comes up in conversations with JP. You see how long them talk about Singapore? You see how long them talk about Singapore? All right. Seaga was preaching about exports at every opportunity, and he put the manufacturers on notice that the easy life was the easy life was to be dismantled. He declared that the import quotas would be phased out. So listen to this now. Import quotas will be phased out. Remember, import quotas were a thing put in by the PNP government to protect local producers and manufacturers. Seaga phased that out. I hope you're listening. Right? So he declared that the import quotas would be phased out in early 1982, within 5 years. The government hoped the competition from abroad for local markets would push Jamaican companies to become more efficient in producing goods for export. In setting exports priorities, the government concentrated on the same labor-intensive sectors such as shoes, garments, electronics that had provided success for Far East. All right, so you hear that. As Singapore and its name has demonstrated, export-oriented industrialization required considerable injection of foreign capital, and Jamaica and Kingston's pursuit of it. Why some might cut off? It hoped to attract assembly factories along with Mexicans, whatever that is. U.S. border, along the Mexico-U.S. border, leaving because of concern over, okay, so he wanted to attract the people that were leaving the factory, the people that own the factory, leaving the Mexico-U.S. border. All right? So that was Seaga's plan. He wanted to basically turn Jamaica, according to him, into a little Singapore. All right. Listen to this now. The economy has reversed its course from the degeneration of the middle period of 1970s and is definitely underway to the restoration of consistent growth. Are you listening? Listening now. Before long, however, the marketplace began to lose some of its magic. Are you listening now? It started to lose some of its magic. There is where the autoclaps arrive now. Because the issue now is all right. We make we listen now, because him start write another article now about how it lose its magic. I spent an afternoon in Kingston wandering around Coronation Market. On listening to comrades, this is very important because this is a CIA agent chronicling his time in Jamaica, right? What he saw when he's walking up and down. Remember, the man is not loyal to PNP or JLP. Him get a job to come do, and him telling you when him do him job, where him notice after him doing job, because his job was to bring the JLP in power, because the JLP is the puppet government of Ronald Reagan. And him is telling you now, say, boy, say the things them where we think was going on when we bring in this your puppet government, it not really work out. So listen to the man now. No, listen. I spent an afternoon in Kingston wandering around Coronation Market, a hot, dirty, soulless place that sprawls through the heart of the capital. Women from the country sat wearily behind meager piles of yam, mangoes, cassava, and ackee. Young men propelled produce-laden handcarts through narrow, crowded streets. Mounds of refuse were everywhere, attended only to buy flies and dogs. And on the side street, an itinerant preacher held an impromptu revivalist meeting. The sound of tambourines and psalms monumentally injecting a note of hope in the torpid afternoon. I visited the market at a time when the government's price, listen, the government's price decontrols were starting to take, listen to this is very important, were starting to take effect. In the last weeks of 1982, the price of sugar, have on a pen, make sure on the right, The price of sugar had risen by 30%. The price of condensed milk, a Jamaican staple, soon followed. With the phasing out of rent controls, landlord had raised rates to 2, 3, even 4 times what they had been when Siaga took control. Though the 1982 inflation rate of 8.4% remained low by past standards, it was hitting the poor with disproportionate effects. What do you think happening now? Not the same thing we're going through now. It's like history repeating itself. Walking down one vendor line street, I passed a woman who sat beside a small food stall, a vacant look on her face. I asked her how her things were going. Do you really want to know? Replied the woman, who appeared to be in her early 30s. I will show you. She gestured to her 3 by 5 foot kiosk and said, this is where I sleep. I looked inside and saw neatly arranged cylinders of peas, beans, pimento, flour, and rice. Some canned goods and on one side a small space. I was living in a building, she explained, but it was sold and I was given notice. I've been living here since August. I packed up the place every night and got to sleep in it. On the hearing? She is joined by her 2 children, aged 7 and 8. It was better under Manley, she added. You could at least afford to get somewhere to live. What do people them about now, comrades? The lady said it was better under Manley. At least you could afford somewhere to live. Now, if you can't afford to pay 200 or 300 a month, they put you out. As we talked, a crowd of 20 or 30 people gathered around us. A white visitor is rare in the Coronation Market, and others came forward with their own hard luck stories. We're not listening now. If we don't know these things, comrades, we can't educate the labor rights when them come on the platform and tell we about how good Siaga was as a prime minister. We have to mash down the lies. A comrade didn't write this. You hear how the man described himself? A white visitor, not a Jamaican. So when they come and tell you, oh, it's comrade right that, tell them no, it's the CIA, write it. Tap up the live. Share up the live. Bless you for the bigs, bless you for the gift. Send on the gifts, make a preach. So them don't lock down the live. We don't know who these people are. Tap up the screen. We're at 60,000 now. I'm begging to do 100,000 tonight. I learned that many had forced to take up residence in dispiriting places. All complained of skyrocketing prices. The time is terrible, said the gentle-looking older man who wore a sailor's cap. They never before been like this. People can't get jobs. Many have to thief to survive. He concluded bitterly, politics, that's just a matter of some able to eat and others not. All I say is, if there's a cake, let some of the smallest morsels reach us. Another result of Siaga's changes was on display at the nearby Higgler's Market. This I want you to hear carefully. Exactly, Twitch, they're always going to tell you as they see it because they have to give accurate reporting. Remember, this is a report. This is a declassified report. So he has to write it because he's reporting back to his superiors about what is happening. This was their experiment. They call it the Jamaican experiment. So they were examining how successful their experiment was. Now you understand that Siaga made us into a failed experiment, a failed American experiment. That is what we are because of Edward Siaga. That is why we are where we are. We are a failed experiment. Another result of Siaga's change was on display at the Igla's warehouse, located in a spacious warehouse-like building in the city's main square. Inside the ill-lit structure were row upon row of small fencing cubicles, each bursting with shoes, skirts, hats, sunglasses, pocketbooks, cosmetics, appliances. All the items one might find in an American store. Listen to this carefully. This is vitally important, comrades. Tap up the screen, share up the live, make we get the deed done. That, in fact, is where most of the goods come from. So you see, when Siaga opened up the market, free up the market, there came an influx of imported American goods. That is why the whole of the American people, them come down here. The whole of the American business people, them, Siaga bring them in. Siaga bring them in. Every week, hundreds of Jamaican higglers board planes to Miami or Panama, fill suitcases with consumer goods and return to sell them in Jamaica. Although the travel and the use of the black market dollar jack up the price, the items are snapped up quickly since most Jamaicans shun locally produced goods as inferior. Siaga told us that our goods were inferior. Siaga and these American business people drill into our heads that foreign products are better than ours. The Higglers began operating under Manley when the imposition of import control made smuggling profitable. So under Manley, they had to smuggle in the goods. Listen carefully, This is what is important. Listen. But they came of age with Siaga and his relaxation of import restrictions. Siaga admired their entrepreneurial ingenuity, and he had promised the middle class that he would make the scarcities of Manley years a thing of the past. You hear what I say? So even though many of the goods brought in like shoes and clothing were still technically prohibited, Siaga tacitly gave the Iglas his blessing to take office. The tide of cheap imports that resulted made the middle class happy. At the same time, however, it had a devastating effect on local manufacturers. Remember, I've been telling you all the time. So Siaga is the author of the collapse of Jamaican manufacturing. You hear what it said? You hear what the CIA agent said? At the same time, however, it had a devastating effect on local manufacturers. Suddenly, after years of protection, they found themselves up against efficient companies abroad. Many simply could not compete. To compound the problem, the government's attempts to liberalize the licensing process backfired. Factory owners were outbid by the higglers and others for black market currency. You hearing? So they attempted to liberalize, and it backfired. This is Siaga now. So the higglers were becoming more wealthier than the factory owners. You understand? So it made it hard for the factory owners to obtain the foreign exchange they needed to buy raw material and capital goods. Manufacturers still had to wait months to get their license. Deregulation has so far meant considerable losses for many of us. Anthony Williams, president of the powerful Jamaica Manufacturers Association, told the group last summer. I wonder if these PSOJ people want to remind them how JP frigged them up in the 80s. I wonder if they want us to remind them how JP suffered them in the 80s. According to GMA, government policies had forced, listen to this, According to GMA figures, government policies had forced 33 factories to close, throwing thousands out of work. By mid-1982, the private sector was in revolt. So when them tell you say it's PNP do it, tell them no. CIA say it's JLP do it. It's JLP closed down the factory them. 33 factories were closed down. Businessmen protested that they heard of the policies change only through the news media. The Ministry of Industry and Commerce, expected to represent the interests of the manufacturers, became one of their chief targets, like what is happening now. As a result of its high-handed industrial policies, shoes and garments were particularly hard hit. The shoe industry was on the verge of collapse. Siaga destroyed the shoe industry. Right? And the shoe industry on the verge of collapse, and this was the Daily News. On the headline of the Daily News, February 11, 1983. It reported that the industry was collapsing at a rapid rate owing to competition from 750,000 pairs of shoes that had been illegally brought into the country by higglers. Half a dozen factories had gone under. 9 others had laid off employees. 11 garment plants had also gone out of business. Siaga destroyed. Siaga wiped out our local manufacturing industry. Right? Jamaican manufacturers desperately needed a 3-year breather instead of going immediately into structural adjustment, says Paul Thomas, deputy president of GMA and owner of a large shoe company. Instead, the IMF, remember now, it's Siaga bringing IMF and World Bank, I saw the CIA say, him and Reagan make up their mind, so them bringing them in. Good night, Marlene. IMF demanded structural adjustment in 1 year. So Siaga bringing the American them for frig way up. Totally mash up the country. You don't see what a strike. Good night, Johnny. How you do? Johnny, I don't know how you pronounce your name. It has been put in place before industries have had a chance to put their infrastructure in place. Remember, this is a country that over 8.5 years suffered tremendous setbacks. Many of our factories were run down and had to be retooled. Thomas hastens to add that he, like most Jamaican business, support the government's export drive. Exporting has helped this country grow by 400% since Siaga bring them up and then bring them right back down to nothing. Him give them little sugar pan them mouth and starve them. So them lick off the sugar off of them lip and think so them belly full. After a while them realize so them never get nothing and them belly empty. That is how Siaga trick the people them. That is how Siaga trick the crowd. What we are talking about is pace and coordination. It's in the coordination that the World Bank and the IMF aren't getting down to realities. At the same time, the GLP projections for foreign investment have proved to be overly optimistic. Consider, for instance, the group of businessmen feted at the ambassador's residence last January. Their visit was sponsored by the Overseas Private Investment Corporation, U.S. agency that has been actively promoting investment in Jamaica. Reagan's Caribbean PR strategy. The 14 delegation members were a diverse international, ranging from a Kansas popcorn packager to the owner of a fitness resort for executives in Palm Springs. Right? Despite the special attention, the business did not manage to. So basically, it was a no-go for them. So them do everything to woo these investors here and nothing happened. Thank you, unfriendly. The majority of the visitors were impressed by the hospitality. Right? We want you to help us to do business in Jamaica. Say, this is the labor right, them selling out Jamaica to the foreigners. Them basically bringing the foreigner, them name we out and then disappear. You understand? So the business them never really set foot. You understand? And of course, we went into recession. Most of their businesses are quite smart. Bechtel, for instance, would represent an outlay of less than 1 million. So them never invest no whole heap of money. And initially, only 60 jobs. That by far, it's very few. So basically, the large corporations weren't biting. With the whole of all of what Siaga was doing to woo them never worked. Whereas in the past, an IMF agreement was a seal of approval for investors, the tap is now dry. Since Siaga took office, foreign investment. Oh, what just happened a while ago? The light just chipped out a while ago. Let's see if we can get the light back up and running. All right, there we go. Whereas in the past, an IMF agreement was a seal of approval for investors, the tap is now dry. Since Siaga took office, foreign investment has only generated a few thousand jobs, representing a reduction of less than 1% in the country's unemployment rate. In short, listen to this. In short, U.S. capital is providing no panacea. So what they're saying is the experiment has failed. When you hearing what I'm saying, comrades and friends, the experiment failed. Nor has the JLP's divestment program lived up to its advanced billing. Continuing uncertainty about the tourism industry resulted in exceedingly modest bids for the 8 hotels on sale. Rather than settle for deflated prices, the government decided to retain ownership and lease the hotels. And by the beginning of this year, it had arranged such deals for most of them. Siaga made it clear that he had no intention of selling off the public utilities Manley had nationalized. Midway through its term, the Siaga administration had divested only a handful of trifling enterprises and shut down one, the Daily News. Mark Golden is now live on TikTok. Oh, that's why the numbers drop because current leader come on. I think he's at the divisional meeting. We're not going to stop still because this is for educational purposes. And we want to say when we're done with this video, it'll go on TikTok. So if you don't want to stay, it's going up on YouTube. So if you don't want to stay. If you don't want to go watch Comrade Leader, I totally understand. But this is education. This is Politics Church Nightly, the Sunday School edition. And this is where we're going to learn. All right? Okay. So Siaga shut down the Daily News. It did, however, significantly expand its buildings. Last September, Siaga dismayed the private sector by buying the Esso refinery in Kingston, the country's only such facility. Siaga said that Jamaica could no longer afford to have foreign corporations set the prices for petroleum products. This is when he buy Petrojam. The government is still buying things that we think should be in the private sector, said Neville James, director of a leading private sector group. Governments like ownership, and this one is no different in that respect. So you see, them claims say Siaga would be better and bigger and better. Siaga is worse. Divestment is only one of the areas in which the Siaga government has had to change course. The growing explosiveness in the housing situation eventually persuaded the JP to introduce a rent restriction. So remember, they remove rent restriction and make people them lose them houses. Now they had to reinstate rent restriction. And recognizing that housing construction could no longer be left exclusively to the private sector, the government announced that it would step up the pace of public building this year. So everything when them did stop. Remember, Manley Start Housing Trust. Remember, Siaga, between 1980 and 1985, Siaga literally ignored housing trust. Siaga did not complete one public housing project while he was in power between 1980 and 1989. Not one. Siaga also conceded that the structural adjustment program was not proceeding exactly as assumed. Customs procedures were tightened up. Me can't read this because it cut off. The Higglers, those models of free enterprises were made subject of import quota. The biggest change came in a major economic address by Siaga last January, admitting that there had been a breakdown in the issuing of licenses. He produced a new system that, as under Manley, let me see this. Me can't read this word, part of it cut off. May I try decipher it. Would allow a rate of foreign exchange to each manufacture for the purchase of essential goods. So basically, he wanted to ensure that there was foreign exchange available for the manufacturers. Because remember, before the Iglas them was buying out all of the foreign exchange, so the manufacturers couldn't get their hands on any, right? In an acknowledgement that the government had not properly taken the needs of the private sector into account, the Prime Minister introduced an array of export incentives. Finally, the most significant move of all, Siaga announced that the country was going on a dual exchange rate that would make Jamaica exports more competitive abroad and imports, except essentials, more expensive. So you hear now, this is when him peg the dollar. On remember on a year, good night, Sue. On a year about when Siaga pegged the dollar. Remember, comrades who are just joining, I am reading from the declassified CIA documents of 1983. This was written, I'm going to tell you who this was written by. It's right there up on the screen, but I know you can't see it properly. But this was actually the report of the director of the Central Intelligence Agency, and it was from John R. Horton, right? And he was a CIA agent placed in Jamaica, one of the economic hitmen, all right? So we are going through what Siaga did in the 80s and the mess he made in the 80s. All right. So as me say now, Siaga announced that the country was going on a dual exchange rate that would make Jamaican exports more competitive abroad and imports more expensive. Siaga insisted that the new exchange rates did not constitute a devaluation. Listen to me, that is why, Randine, I am getting all of these things on YouTube, because we're going to put them together. All right, so you can find all of the video them together. All right. Siaga insisted that the new exchange rates did not constitute a devaluation, an understandable position since he had persistently criticized devaluations under Manley as evidence of economic mismanagement. But many bankers and economists felt that the dual exchange rate was a devaluation by another name. As the Daily News said, Siaga's speech was reminiscent of those given by former Prime Minister Michael Manley. So all them cuss Manley, Siaga in the end had to copy Michael Manley. The conference finished, so everybody will come back now. All right. I'm happy that it was nice. Hopefully I can watch it afterwards. You see, because I'm a deserting the last night, I'll make sure I'm not deserting tonight. Welcome back, Kenroy. All right. Gonna go fast. Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that. Gonna fast and come back. That is good. That is good. Me will watch it when me travel tomorrow. When me sit down in the airport, me watch it. All right. Not a thing wrong with that. In all, 1982. No listening now. In all, 1982 was not kind to Siaga government. On the top up, like I want to come back on the top up the screen because we are trying to get to 100,000 likes. Tap up the screen, beg you some gifts, the taps, the roses, whatever one can give, want to make sure to give. All right? We don't want them freeze up the live. So listen now, remember now, comrades, it's 1980. Siaga win the election. Thank you, Caroline. It's 1980. Siaga win the election. And you hear this now? In all, by 1982 was not kind to the Siaga government. Industrial capacity dropped even lower than it had been under Manley. The country's trade deficit increased. Are you listening? Unemployment began to rise again from 25.7 back to 27. The gross national product fell 0.2% for the year. The government attributed the economic decline to the world recession. Isn't this familiar? Isn't this all them? Thank you, Michibu. Isn't this what they do all the time? Blame it on the world thing. Big up yourself in a Davian. Big up yourself. They always blame it on world recession. The recession undoubtedly played a role, as in the 30% drop in bauxite production, but the JLP's own free market policies were clearly culpable as well. So the man come mash up the economy in 2 years. Siaga destroyed the Jamaica economy in 2 years, according to the CIA. I am not making this up. I am reading from the document above, comrades. The CIA declassified document released. This was from the year 1983. The report was by John Horton, a former CIA agent stationed here, who was sent here to assess, because remember what the people them call, the people them say we are the Jamaican experiment. Ronald Reagan took us as an experiment for his free market policy to see how we were the guinea pig. Siaga turned us into the guinea pig. Siaga made Jamaica the guinea pig of Ronald Reagan, according to the CIA. It's not we say so, it's them say so. This is why history is important. It's not we say so, it's them say so. The phasing out of price controls had caused serious hardship for the poor. Rent increases had compelled introduction of new controls. Deregulating the economy had proved disastrous for many manufacturers. Curbs on government spending had produced a deadening effect on the economy. Siaga was a deadening effect on the economy. Siaga was a deadening effect on the economy. Finally, the Siaga government, like its predecessor, had discovered that public ownership has its place. The Jamaican model was proven far different from what Washington had intended. On a hearing with no own ears. So that is that article now. I want to hear, Which 11 million? $100 million the man borrow and forget. About 11. The phone are overheat. I know why. Ooh, turn it so. Make the back cool, because I don't want the live in. Give me a minute there, comrades. Don't move. See, from the light, God is like it just mash up everything. The little power cut earlier. All right. 100, and there you go. 110. I don't know where you get 11 million from. Probably unfriendly, because this is the first time it happened. Yes, I think you're right. Give me a second. Don't move. When I don't move, let me see if I can rectify, because I don't want the live go locked down because the phone overheat. All right, 1 minute. All right. May I try close some of them, but Lord, I could see what happens. Yeah, man, you know, go on, tap up the screen. Tap up the screen. Tap up the screen for me. Tap up the screen, everybody. Tap up the screen. May I try get back the light on. You see, from may have to turn off the laptop, man. Anyway, by tomorrow the laptop will be up and running again. Mhm. Good night, Chris. So we could continue now. Let us continue on our journey through the 80s. Let us continue. One afternoon, I set out to visit a farm started by two Israeli investors in Jamaica. You see how long these people courting the Israelis? Right, so he was visiting a farm started by two Israeli investors. So them bring the Israelis here a long time. The Israeli farm had been mentioned time and time again by government officials who assigned it a key role in the Jamaica's agricultural program. I was particularly eager to see it because of my growing sense that the success of any government in Jamaica hinges on how it meets the challenge of the countryside. The rural sector is the island's biggest source of employment, providing jobs for 37% of the population, but it contributes only 8% of the gross national product. Yeah, man, and I go and tap up the screen there for me. We're there 87 now. Yeah, I could try reach 100. But in contributing, but it contributes, okay, we read that already. Making it the most inefficient sector as well. Jamaica, an all-year greenhouse, must import much of its food. That is it, Escobar. The dot them are connect now. The dots are being connected. So Jamaica, listen to what the man say now. Jamaica, an all-year greenhouse, must import much of its food. Here, differences between Siaga and Manly seem particularly sharp. The JLP had invited in large foreign companies. To Manly, their very names evoke the plantation system. So Manly, get away from the plantation system. Siaga carry back to the plantation system. When you're listening carefully, listening up. But the government claims that it will be setting the terms for their activities. It has signed a joint venture agreement with the United Brands. For instance, a successor company to the infamous United Fruit to plant more than 2,000 acres of high quality banana. Siaga quickly disbanded the sugar cooperatives so dear to Manly and under the structural adjustment program promised to shut down two of the country's most inefficient sugar mills and lease four of the remaining five to private concerns. Among the candidates to take them over are Gulf and Western, a Rockefeller Company member with enormous sugar holdings in the Dominican Republic, and Tate and Lyle, a British company that once owned plantation in Jesus Christ. Siaga sold our sugar company back to our colonizers. I did not know this. Me did hate him before, you know. But now, no. Everything we name Siaga in Jamaica have to change. We need to wipe that man from history. Let me shout it again for those labor rights in the back. Because when this go up on YouTube, you see this little clip out? We're going to put it up on TikTok and pin it. We're going to put it on TikTok and pin it. Siaga quickly, I'm repeating this now. Siaga quickly disbanded the sugar cooperative sold dear to Manly and shut down two of the country's most inefficient sugar mills and lease 4 of the remaining 5 to private concerns. Among the candidates to take them over are Gulf and Western, a Rockefeller Committee member with enormous sugar buildings in Dam Rep, and Tate and Lyle, a British company that once owned plantations in Jamaica. The government hopes that such measures will increase sugar outputs from 200 tons produced in 1982, the lowest levels in decades. Even if production rises, sugar and industry suffering from the popularity of artificial sweeteners will never play the dominant role it once played in Jamaica. So from 1982, them realized this. Him soon get to join. We're not ready yet. We're not ready yet. Remember, I'm reading something, so I can't have anybody. It's not a discussion. You understand? It is not a discussion. We can discuss it another night, but we'll read it tonight. I want to get through the document so that when you hear the document. You understand me, Randall? So, Comrade Orville, it's not that I don't want to have you on the live. It's just that we're reading a document. When we're ready for the discussion segment, which probably won't happen tonight, I have an early morning flight. But probably tomorrow night, we can have the discussion segment. But for tonight, we'll get through the document. You follow me? All right. The Israeli farm represents an intensive effort to show that Jamaica is ideally suited to produce vegetables for lucrative winter market of the northeastern United States. The farm is on 200 acres of prime land, about 55 miles west of Kingston. I flew there with one of the Israelis, Eli Tisona, in a helicopter lent to us by the Jamaican Armed Forces, an indication of just how much the government has riding on this project. Arriving mid-morning, we found the farm dotted with women stomping among the symmetrical rows of tomato and green peppers. They placed the right vegetables in baskets and when full, were picked up by tractors and transported to nearby packing plants. 3 months ago, there was nothing here but a rundown farm, said Tisona, who with another Israeli had put up half of the farm's $2.5 million cost. The government contributed the remainder. Already we're sending 2 shipments a week to New York. We bring in 747s to fly out the produce. The farm employs about 250 Jamaicans. You understand? They said Jamaicans are lazy. You're going to lose all your money. But most of these people haven't had jobs in the last 5 years and are eager to work. Everything is working out perfect. Notwithstanding that assessment, there have been substantial obstacles, not all of them overcome. Power failures can ruin vegetables under refrigeration. All equipment must be imported. Transportation can break down, etc. All right. Tisona says, big up yourself in a unfriendly. Tisona says the bureaucracy is terrible. Many Jamaicans doubt that the farm will ever show a profit. You following me? So I want you to hear, we are doing this to show you, say, when the labor right talk about 1980s was a good period, it was not. While the government has lavished its attention on the Israelis, what of Jamaicans? Hundreds of thousands of peasant farmers. And listen to this. Listen carefully. Traditional agriculture was the one economic sector to prosper under Manley. Listening. Traditional agriculture was the one economic sector to prosper under Manley, growing by an average of 7% a year during his term. He had leased land to small farmers, guaranteed them good prices, and protected them against imports. Me open a hearing. Siaga, on the other hand, put free market principles to work. He began to phase out the price support program and remove restrictions on food imports. Sound familiar? What is the Jamaican government doing now? What did Nigel Clark announce? Thank you very much, comrades, for the 100,000. Thank you. Big up on yourself, you know. Only realize that Siaga did what Nigel Clark is doing now, removing the safety net. Remember, say Nigel just announced in something saying removing the taxes from the imports, you know. Not the same thing this. And it failed then. So why does he think it is gonna succeed now? It failed then. So why does he think that it is going to succeed now? Siaga, on the other hand, put free market principles to work. He began phasing out price support programs and removed restriction on foreign imports. Jamaica was inundated with cheap food. The results were catastrophic for small farmers. Domestic food production dropped by 19% in 1982. Potatoes fell by 40% and cereals by 57%. Are you listening? Shortly after my visit to Israeli farm, I made another quite different excursion into rural Jamaica to a small farming village in the Blue Mountains called Woburn Lawn. Here an hour east of Kingston, peasants cultivated primitive 2 or 3 acre farm of scallions, gongo peas, yam, and beans. I was greeted with tales of severe unemployment and plunging incomes brought on by the government's policies. One farmer, Annabelle Crossgale, told me most of last year was bad. We couldn't make a profit. We were just able to feed ourselves. Crossdale, who at 62 still climbs the side of the mountain each day to reach her farm, explained that the imports had great effect on our scallion and red peas. She added that the state market facilities was paying too cheap prices. Wanna listen? I open and listening now. Listening now, comrades. Because all of this is basically repeat. There is a repetition happening right now. Repetition. Everything that happened before is happening again now. Right? Last year, the country's food import bill was 200 million. A surprising sum for a country so fertile as Jamaica. You hear how much food Siaga import? 200 million. And one that eventually forced the government to change course. It reinstated import restrictions on many crops grown domestically. Then last spring, it introduced Agro 21, a bold new program, quote unquote, to help peasant farmers, described as more far-reaching in concept than anything ever designed before. Agro 21 predictably stressed exports, promising incentives tailored specifically to small farmers. What was striking was the role carved out for the state. The government, Siaga explained in a speech, will be organizer of capital, land, and skills for private sector. It will help to find market outlets and the technology with the objective of beginning a new era in the lagging agricultural sector. So halfway into its term, the JLP had at least begun to grapple with the immense problems of traditional agriculture. The neglect of the market had proved anything but benign. Siaga discovered that the state intervention here, as elsewhere, might not be such a bad thing after all. So everything when cost manly for Siaga have to turn around and do it back. Everything where Siaga cost manly for him have to turn around and do it back. Look at that. Wanna look on this. You see how life funny? You see how life operate? Me said that man was a despot. That man was a despot who come here and mash up with place. On my last day in Kingston, I had the opportunity to interview both Edward Siaga. Listen to this now, comrades. This is the clincher. When we're done this part, it's my bedtime. I have to wake up early in the morning. Want to bear with me? I have to wake up very early in the morning. On my last day in Kingston, I had the opportunity to interview both Edward Siaga and Michael Manley. Each was true to his reputation. Siaga was aloof, dispassionate, and precise. His responses studied with sums, percentages, and projections. Manley was smiling, outgoing, emotive. His talk at once grand, discursive, and philosophical. The contrasts in style were parallel by differing perceptions of Jamaica's present and prescriptions for its future. On the performance of the JP government, Siaga said, "First of all, we have managed to restore tourism. It had virtually died under the previous government, but we are now one of the most actively growing tourism areas in the world." Sound familiar? Sound familiar? It sound familiar too, no? Listening now. We have restored the construction industry, which had declined to levels of 1950s. It grew 26% last year and is projected to grow 20% this year. The manufacturing sector got off to a slow start. It showed no growth in the first years, but at least not the declines of the 70s. It grew by 4% last year and is projected to grow 5% this year. Both sugar and banana, our two main export crops, are on the way back up. We're expanding cocoa, citrus, and so on. Furthermore, we're now entering a period of production of agricultural products never before tried in Jamaica, like horticulture and winter vegetables. We're not listening now. Now, Manley. This is what Manley had to say. Siaga did something extremely dangerous. He took the lid off Jamaican austerity program we had put in place and settled his debts with the middle classes by committing extravagant amount of foreign exchange to consumer satisfaction through imports. In the course of doing that, he played havoc with domestic agriculture. He undermined small business development by opening the floodgates. He was depending on flows of foreign capital to provide for the necessary foreign exchange. But of course, it didn't come in the quantities expected. Siaga, facing this, seemed to be beginning to back away from the belief that the pure Puerto Rican model can save Jamaica. Therefore, one is seeing him beginning to revert to the more reliance upon state action that he contemplated at the start and which he criticized us for. I hope you're listening, On the sugar industry, Siaga said, "This year, sugar will show again. The last government didn't fertilize the fields because they had no foreign exchange, and they didn't have the machines to take the cane out. They handed the estate over to cooperatives, which went into debt for $80 million. The productivity of these estates was destroyed. We have disbanded the corps and put them under the control of government-managed sugar mills. Productivity is rising." And this is what Manley said. "We are very disappointed. They have dismantled the co-op program. It's true that we made mistakes, that we failed to understand the need to lay proper base for them. But we were hoping to use them as a model of how to resolve the conflict between economies of scale and workers' participation. Disbanding them is a strategic retreat. You can't go on with peasant farming. Do you instead turn everything over to Campbell, State and Lyle and United Fruit? Where else is there to go but back to the plantation relationship, which is itself at the heart of Jamaica's social crisis? So you see what happened? Siaga revert us to the plantation system in the 80s. I hope you're not listening, I hope you're not listening. Exactly, Fitzroy. It's about the propaganda, but I hope you're not listening because there is no comrade that wrote this article. This article is written by the CIA operative, that was the CIA agent, because you know there's a difference between an agent and an operative. An agent works for the CIA, and I'm telling you what, based on the definition that the CIA gave. And a CIA agent is employed to the agency, go through the training, whatever. An operative is somebody where they make a deal with to sell out. Siaga was a CIA operative. Mutty Perkins was a CIA operative. Don Rich was a CIA operative. The man where did own Jamaica Green in the 70s, we can't remember what his name. Him is a CIA operative. Because those are the people who sold out their own country. Those are the people who sold. Well, Siaga was never a Jamaican. I was looking for the point in this article because I'm sure there's somewhere in the article that actually outlines Siaga's antecedent. All right. So, on the fortunes of the shoe industry, this is what Siaga said. The demise of the footwear industry has been in the cards for the last 10 or 12 years. There have been losses of jobs, but that's inevitable. Regardless of the structural adjustment of the economy, because of their own lack of adjustment, no small country can produce the range and styles of footwear preferred by people who are sophisticated in dress like Jamaica. You hear what I say? Our thing's not good enough for Jamaican people. That's what he's basically saying. We want to pick one or two or three items and concentrate on them and gear the whole footwear industry to producing them for export. We want to do the same thing with the 6 or 7 other sectors we are targeting. This is what Manley said. Siaga really just opened the floodgates, virtually wiping out the shoe industry. A very high price has been paid. Once you improve exports at the expense of an internally based economy, you're swapping a black dog for a monkey. A Jamaican expression equivalent to cutting off your nose to spite your face. What an economy like ours needs is to identify areas where you see a chance for exports and go for broke there. But don't sacrifice your base. With proper planning and the use of carefully modulated protective walls, you could have saved the local shoe industry. On Singapore and Puerto Rico models, me for tell you, Ava, that's exactly it. This is what Siaga said. Singapore and ourselves were not apart in 1960s. The difference is that Singapore expanded in the 70s, while we went to the route of political adventurism, twisting Jamaica into the mold of the Cuban society. In the 1960s, our gross domestic product grew by 60%. In the 70s, we lost 20%. The model started in the 1960s was adopted from the import substitution model. But that has only so much life in it. Our intention in the 1970s was to begin to shift gears and move to an export orientation on a gradual basis. But that didn't happen. The government started screaming export or die, but it was too late. So we've had to pick up, you hear Osiaga stay, you hear him twist up everything, to pick up at double pace to restructure the economy in the time in the whatever of exports. This is what Manley had to say, Siaga during the campaign committed himself to a resurrected Puerto Rican model. He didn't use the word Puerto Rico because it's been discredited. So he preferred to talk about countries of the Far East. But essentially, the model is the same. In Puerto Rico, after the most massive foreign investment program in the world over the last 30 years, it has produced 30% unemployment, with 50% of the population living on food stamps, and a massive migration to the US. The model does what all models of a colonial nature does. It increases dependence. Siaga began with the very essence of a dependent capitalist strategy of what this? Can I say this? Consumer satisfaction, massive foreign investment, and deregulation of the economy. We believe completely in a reverse, in inviting people to face self-restraint, so to provide the internal basis for a self-reliant economy. The main question is, how do you develop the capacity? You have to develop yourself. You can't develop it if you depend on anyone else. This is what Manley said. So from day one, Manley was promoting self-reliance, and Siaga wanted us to rely on everybody else but ourselves. I hope you understand the difference in our comrades. We are going to discuss this tomorrow in depth. Tomorrow, we will definitely take, we're definitely going to open the box tomorrow, right? We're not going to open the box tonight because, as I say, I have to get up early in the morning. I don't want to go open it and then we can't, the conversation keeps going. Want to follow me? So I don't want, I want to apologize for the fact that I cannot open the box tonight. But at the end of the day, comrades, we have to discuss this. This is something we have to discuss. I hope you understand. Singapore has to be importing water. No, they have no natural resources. That's why USA was never interested in them. So they didn't run any experiments with them. Like how them run experiments with Jamaica, because they don't have any natural resources that they want. Whenever I hear people comparing Jamaica to Singapore, I kind of get very upsetting, and I'll tell you why. Singapore has nothing. Nothing at all. Singapore don't have none. And it's because they have nothing why nobody is interested in them. The USA wasn't interested in any resource that Singapore had because Singapore simply has no resources. So they were allowed to remain on their own and grow because nobody in the world was interested in them. Really, Mrs. Escobar? Interesting. That is very interesting. But at the end of the day, as I'm saying, it makes no sense to compare Jamaica to Singapore because Jamaica is full of resources that US businesses were interested in. And this is why they kept Siaga open up. Basically, Reagan used Siaga to make Jamaica an experiment. And them open up the economy out here to the same Americans who did not invest. They came here and reap. You understand? Fitzroy, the real Singapore model is investing in your people because they have nothing else but them people. So they have to use their people as their product. But Siaga and the brain dead labor rights never realized this, so they never get the memo. The memo never reached them. You follow me? The memo never reached them at all. But at the end of the day, we live and we learn. The JLP has set us back tremendously. And every time the JLP is in power, we simply do not grow. And this is something that we have to come to realize. We don't grow when the JLP is in power. The JLP always causes us some serious recession. And we have to come to terms with that. We have to come to understand that the JLP causes us serious recession and regression as a people in every way. Just look at what is happening now. You realize that everything we talk about in this article is what is happening now. It's like them have a playbook working with how to frig up Jamaica. JLP have a playbook how to destroy Jamaica. That is what them have. And they proceed to destroy us. They proceed to destroy us. And they trick the Jamaican people into thinking. They trick the Jamaican people into thinking that, okay, them uneducated and undereducated. That is it. Deja vu. Them uneducated and undereducated. And as a result, the people don't understand. Without knowledge, the people shall perish. I just got some confirmation, comrades, that Comrade Wavell Hines, who is the opposition spokesperson on sports, will be on our live tomorrow at 8 p.m. So they know say una have to be here or be square. Because we have to talk about the fact that Jamaica is not getting one of the games for the Cricket World Cup. And you know, say Wavell are the boss on cricket because Wavell is the president of the West Indies Players Association. He's been a cricketer of the West Indies for years, still deeply involved in the cricket, right? So we're going to have a discussion with Comrade Hines about why it is that Jamaica is where it is now. We have to have that discussion. On the following me, so look tomorrow at 8. I will start circulating the flyers tomorrow. All right, probably I can't do it tonight. Tomorrow is gonna be a very busy day for me, but we're gonna get it done. All right, we're gonna get it done. We make up our minds, so it's gonna happen. All right, come LRI water. Even if me have to go at the mall, go sit down. If me can't, well, they must have Wi-Fi where me I go. Right? The bottom line is we're gonna get it done. The live is going to happen. We claim the live in Jesus' name tomorrow. Right? They are clever to turn off exactly. Fitzroy, you hit the nail on the head, you know. JLP is trying to create a dictatorship. They don't want people to vote. The JLP does not benefit when people vote. This is why you have to vote. You have to vote. Because the numbers is what vote them out. This is the same thing that keeps happening to them, you know. Remember, say, according to CIA, within 2 years, Siaga mash up Jamaica. Within 2 years, remember this release, this declassified document is 3 years, you know. And the man said within 2 years, Siaga mash up Jamaica. It's not we say so, it's the CIA say so. The CIA who had commissioned him as an operative. Them are the one who say so, not we. So I don't want no labor right have up we for just telling you what the CIA say. You following me? There is something else I want to read before I end tonight. Let me find it. Because I swear it was in this article, but it's 2 articles I did post up, you know. I want to, yes, this is the article about Siaga's background. Listen to this now. And this was from the same Central Intelligence Agency. This is a memorandum. This is when Siaga just win and they had high hopes in it. Prime Minister Edward Siaga, whose Jamaica Labour Party just won the largest victory since the party founded in 1943, is a strong nationalist who enjoys the trust of the private sector. This is in 1980 when him just win. You hear how they speak glowingly of him? You hear how they speak glowingly of him? The party captured 52 of 60 seats in the parliament and won a clear mandate from a broad spectrum of Jamaican society, including organized labor, small farmers, the professional and business classes, and the security forces. Siaga's financially strapped government, however, will have difficulty meeting unusually high popular expectations and will face a long uphill struggle in attracting the assistance of that appears essential for the economic restructuring and reconstruction and restoration of political stability. So this is now in 1980. The 50-year-old Siaga, Boston born, Harvard educated, and of Lebanese extraction. What historical ties did Siaga have to Jamaica? Boston born, Harvard educated, and Lebanese extraction. What the hell was Edward Siaga doing in Jamaica? These labor rights are here on Mark Golden. In Mark Golden's skin, and Mark Golden born in Jamaica. Mark Golden mother born in Jamaica. Mark Golden grandfather, his mother father born in Jamaica. Edward Siaga was an American man with Lebanese parents who chose to settle in Jamaica. Went and had him in Boston because Jamaica was just a place for them to make money. Labor rights walk and talk about, oh, Siaga parents is Jamaica. Siaga parents is Lebanese. Lebanese merchants who settled in Jamaica, who believed that Jamaica was here for them to make money. But they didn't want Siaga to be born in Jamaica. They wanted him to be born in America. So they went and took him to, them went when she pregnant and had him in America and come back when he was 3 months old. No Jamaican ties. No Jamaican ties. Right? So he earned the respect as an economic planner. That's what him push himself as. But as we heard from the own CIA, he was an economic dunce who did a lot of things that mash up with economy. Right? Mash up with economy. I wanted you to hear that. Who ever wonder how it is that Edward Siaga moved so fast in the JLP? How was he so far, him elevate so fast in the JLP? Remember after Buster did, who was the next prime minister? Donald Sangster. Remember say Donald Sangster become the next prime minister, And Donald Sangster was poisoned. This is why we know that the CIA from before Siaga, you know what I believe? It is my strong belief that the CIA recruited Edward Siaga from he was at Harvard University. That is my theory. My theory is that Siaga was recruited by the CIA from his days at Harvard University. And then he was planted back into Jamaica. And they ensured that they cleared his path so that he could take over the JLP. Because remember that Siaga was nowhere near the seat of power in the JLP. And he simply basically started to elevate quickly after a series of mysterious deaths. Prime ministers be dying in them sleep at a very young age. People who supposed to be healthy sleepwalking off balconies. Another one scared shitless and forced to resign. Donald Sangster died mysteriously. Some say he was poisoned. Ken Jones, who had leadership aspirations, walked off of a balcony mysteriously. Sleepwalk. They said he sleepwalked off a balcony at a hotel. Hugh Shearer was scared and resigned. Somehow, the way mysteriously clear for Edward Siaga to become the leader of the JLP. Are you going to tell me that the CIA is not behind this? Of course, Fitzroy Manley identified his shooter as Jim Brown, Siaga's attack dog from the Showa posse. Of course, Brat, the CIA is behind Siaga's elevation to the leadership of the JLP. This is what I'm saying. Siaga was a CIA operative from day one. He was recruited from Imago Harvard and then planted in Jamaica. And then make sure, say, them push him and elevate him quickly because them see where Michael Manley going. And them did have to stop Michael Manley somehow, some way. No, sir, Andrew, them no, Fitzroy, me go pa, me no agree with you, because them no rate Andrew. Them don't rate Andrew. Not one of them have no rating for Andrew. Not one of them have no ratings for Andrew. You think a joke? As serious as a judge. Him no good man. And whereas them could have used Siaga, them cannot reach him. Use Andrew. Yes, Randy, me see that. I saw you go every time me say me I go in. Everybody just jump on. But I will say this. Siaga was a well-utilized operative. He was a well-utilized operative. And it's him why Jamaica is in the condition it is in now. I hope you understand and appreciate that fact. That Siaga is the reason why Jamaica is where it is today. Yeah, man, evil is a wicked mofo. Evil man. A horrible human being. Sad reality. But while we go through this, and tomorrow, after we have Comrade Waver, we can discuss this. even though we got through it. Tomorrow, Comrade Ball, we bring you up in the box, so make sure you join the live tomorrow. And we'll bring on anybody else who want to come on. Tomorrow, we can go in the box. Comrade Wave, we're going to come on tomorrow at 8. We normally try to go up with him to about 9:30, 10. We have the interview from 8 to about 9:30, and then we have the questions to about 10. So between 10 and 10:30. Good night, Comrade Shari. So between 10 and 10:30, we will open up the box and have the discussion about Siaga in the 80s and the things that he did. Because I know like Comrade Barr and Comrade Orin Cole and Comrade Howard, all of those comrades who lived through the 80s, who remember what happened through the 80s, will be able to offer their memories. This is how we learn, you know. This is how we learn. This is how we learn. Good night, Rachel. This is how we learn. This is how we transfer the knowledge. And comrades, this live is going to be on YouTube. I am going to download the entire live because YouTube get a raw deal. And we're going to upload it to the YouTube channel so that you will always have it there for reference. And this article, which was written by whatever M1 name again, I can't remember him name, I soon tell you know him name. The CIA agent here. John Horton, that is his name. The CIA agent named John Horton. Written September 14, 1983. We're going to upload it to the blog. Remember my blog. Don't forget the blog. So you will have access to it to download it. It will be in a downloadable format that you can download it and keep it for yourself. Want to follow me? Because tomorrow after, we're going to have the discussion about this. Right? I'm sorry I can't go on any longer, but me tell you already say I have an early morning flight to catch. So I have to go down, pack up my things them now. I have to go pull down the whole of my equipment them because I walk with everything so that I can do my live. I walk with all of my accoutrement them. Right? Every single accoutrement with my webcam, my ring light them, because about 4 ring light me have it now. I walk with everything. Right? So, yeah man, thanks Fitzroy. So, comrades, of course the laptop is off, so there is no, I can't pull it up on my phone. I'm not doing that. We're going to play the trumpet and call it a night. So stay tuned for the trumpet. Like I bring it up and thanks Brad, thanks Randy, thank you everybody. Thanks Debs, thanks Anne-Marie. So awake from your slumber and answer the call. The torch has been lighted, the dawn is at hand. Who joins in the fight? All is wrong, native land. Land of my God, my good night, comrades. See you tomorrow. Same 7:30. Remember, we have Comrade Waver Hines joining the altar. Join Miss Side me on the altar at 8 o'clock sharp. Big up on yourself. Take care. Good night.